what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the top 3 best one-shot builds for PvP in New World. And when I say one shot, I mean that by using the first build, you'll be able to get 5 stunning abilities, which will mean that by the time your target will be able to move, you will auto-attack him to death. Then for the second build, you will go full glass cannon, which will mean that by just landing 1 or 2 light attacks, you'll be able to kill an enemy from 50 to 100 meters. And then lastly, the third build will be a mage class, which will give you on both weapons 2 different one-shot combos and much more. So if you want to learn the best one-shot builds with all the specific weapon abilities and perks that you need to use, then watch this video till the end. And if all this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first build, which is the mage one-shot build, and for the weapons we want to use the void gauntlet and ice gauntlet. And then these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0, you want to get your intelligence to 150 and then start building your constitution. And around level 60 you should have 300 intelligence and 150 constitution. And last but not the least, for your gear you want to go with the light category, which means using the best setup, aka 1 medium chest piece and then the rest light equipment. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the void gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these 2 perks and then get the first ability called the Oblivion and then get these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Petrifying Scream and then get these 2 perks as well. And now let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the Orb of Decay and then get these 3 perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever way you like. Okay, and now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Ice Gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the first ability called the Ice Spikes and then get these 3 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Ice Storm and then get these 3 perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and unlock this 1 perk and then the last third ability called the Ice Shower and then get this 1 last perk, and that's it. Now again from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever order you want. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So first of all, for the Void Gauntlet we have the first Q ability called the Oblivion, which creates a circle around you and your teammates and you inside the circle will be getting 20% damage increase. But on the other hand, your enemies standing in the circle will be taking void damage every second. And a really nice thing to do is while standing in the circle, do a bunch of medium jumps. And because of the perks we have selected, we and any other allies in the circle will be getting plus 15 stamina each jump. So this will give us the ability to dodge more enemy attacks and get more stamina at the same time. I found this feature very useful in wars and 1v1s to escape enemy attacks or in PvE where the mobs couldn't catch me and much more. So then for the second ability we have a Petrifying Scream, which when using will unleash a void scream and this will stagger and root enemies in front of you. And then lastly we have the third ability, which is called the Orb of Decay, and you can fire this orb which can go through your enemies, and each enemy that it hits it will deal decent damage and reduce their damage absorption. And then later that orb will come back and heal you for a few seconds. And lastly, if you hold the right mouse button you can regain more mana, but in exchange your health will go down. I would only recommend to use this mechanic if you really are at full health and your mana potions are on cooldown. So then use it for a second or 2 and you should be good to go. But as you're not a healer, you should be very careful when using this mechanic. So then for the second weapon we have the Ice Gauntlet, and your Q spell is called the Ice Storm, which all enemies standing in it will get damaged and slowed. And the more enemies you hit, the higher damage you will get. Then the R ability is called the Ice Shower, which when using will create an ice wall, and if players go through it, it will stun them. And this ability is very useful in chopping your targets. And then lastly, the third ability is called the Ice Spikes, which when activating creates this trail of spikes in a straight line. This ability is very useful and high damage if you use it correctly. And the way it works is that when you use the ability, but if you're too close to the enemy, the ice spikes won't explode with the highest damage. So what you want to do is when using the ability and you see that the player is 1 second away from getting hit, then press your right mouse button and this will detonate the spikes, which will deal very high damage. So then as far as your ability combinations go for the Ice Gauntlet, when farming mobs or even players, the best spell combination to do is place the Ice Storm, aka the Q ability, on grouped up enemies. And if you see that the enemy is stunned, then use the Ice Spike ability and do a bunch of damage. Or another way to set up your Ice Spike ability is to run into the enemy enemy and place the ice shower spell, and if the enemy touches the ice wall he will get stunned, so then you can use the ice spikes and it will be easier to hit the enemy. The thing that you need to understand about the ice spike ability is that the trail of spikes is actually pretty small line, so most of the time I only use it when I see that I can 100% hit multiple players or a single stunned player. And then of course for the Void Gauntlet you want to hit the enemy with the Petrifying Scream, and then place the Oblivion spell and while dodging keep on hitting the enemy. Then when both of these abilities get on cooldown use the Orb of Decay, and then either way switch to the Ice Gauntlet or keep on using the Void Gauntlet, depending on which weapon deals more damage, and that's about it. This build has basically two one-shot combos. One combo is for the Ice Gauntlet where you place the Ice Shower, then put the Ice Storm and then hit the target with the Ice Spikes. And then the second combo is for the Void Gauntlet where you stun the enemy with the Petrifying Scream, and then right after place the Oblivion ability plus auto attack the target, and that's it. So then for my last and final conclusions for this build. This Void Gauntlet and Ice Gauntlet weapon combination is very high damage, and you basically have two different one-shot possibilities every 10 to 15 seconds, so you can easily destroy your enemies no matter if this is a player or a PvE mob. So then for the gem choice for the Void Gauntlet you want to get the Opal gem, then for your Ice Gauntlet get the Malachite gem, and then for all of your gear, rings, amulets and everything else use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled Which Weapon and Gear Perks Are Best for Your Build. You can find the link in this video's description or scroll through my channel, and that video is specifically made to explain you in depth for each perk that you need to get to have the highest damage possible, and you will be able to specifically find all the information dedicated for the Ice and Void Gauntlet, and then for your gear items and much more. So in a quick summary, if you're looking for the best and my most favorite one-shot build, then this is the one for you, so enjoy! So then moving over to the second build, which I like to call it as the enemy's nightmare, and for the weapons we want to use the sword with shield and spear, and then these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0 you want to get your strength to 200 and then start building your constitution, and around level 60 you should have 300 strength and 150 constitution. And last but not the least, for your gear you want to go with the light category, which means this time using all the light armor pieces and one round shield for the sword. And if you were wondering, then yes, this is that build that has almost every single ability that either way slows or stuns the enemy target. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the sword, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first things first, right up from the start you want to unlock both these two perks and then get the first ability called the Leaping Strike, and then get these two perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and get this one perk, and then the second ability called the Shield Bash, and then get these three perks. Then lastly get the last third ability called the Defiant Stance, and then get these two perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever order you like. So then going over to the second weapon, which is the spear, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the first ability called the Javelin, and then get these two perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Sweep, and then get these two perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and get these three perks. And then lastly get the last third ability called the Vault Kick, and then unlock these two perks, and that's it. Now again you can spend your points in whatever way you want. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So then for the first weapon we have the sword, and the first Q spell is called the Leaping Strike, which basically is a damage ability that makes you leap 6 meters to the enemy. Then the second ability is called the Shield Bash, and the spell makes you deal damage and stun your enemy for 3 seconds. And then lastly the third ability is called the Defiant Stance, which you can activate, and for the next 8 seconds your resistance is increased. Or in PvE you can activate the spell and increase your threat level, which will make all the mobs target you. And then for the second weapon we have the spear, and the first Q spell is called the Sweep, which if you hit the enemy makes him drop down to the ground. Then the second ability is called the Vault Kick, and if you land it then it will stun the enemy for 1.5 seconds. And lastly we have the F ability called the Javelin, which makes your character throw a spear, and if you hit the target you will stagger and knock him down. So then for the actual way to play this build, you have to understand that this build is not a tank and is mainly meant to get into the fights, stun and do damage to the enemy, and then get out of a fight with 2 light dodge rolls. But then for the actual one-shot combo, so what you want to do is first of all find a single player. It can be just one player a bit away from his group or a specific player that is playing by himself. So what you want to do is, while using the sword, do 1 or 2 light dodge rolls to get closer to the target, and then fully close the distance with leaping strike, and then right after use the shield bash ability. Then again right after this you want to switch to the spear and do 1 or 2 light attacks, then use the sweep ability, then do 1 more light attack and then use the vault kick and finish off the enemy. The other abilities like the javelin aka the spear throw is another decent ability, which most of the time I use to get out of a dangerous situation, and then if I really get targeted or if I mess up my one-shot combo, then I switch back to the sword and activate the defiant stance. So as you can see, the sword itself is only meant for closing the distance and doing the first initial stun, and then you switch to the spear and do all the other stunts with the damage, and that's about it. So then for my last and final conclusions for this build, the sword with shield and spear weapon combination is meant to do a lot of damage while at the same time stunning your target so that he can't move, and in that time you can do whatever you want. But of course remember, as you're going full damage and stun build, you are not a tank, so be more careful, and remember that always you can get out of a dangerous group fight with just 2 dodge rolls or by stunning the target that is attacking you. And then lastly, for the spear and sword, you want to either way use the malachite or emerald gem depending on what is harder for you to do. So you want to use the emerald gem if while doing your one-shot combo your target gets to move and escape while being below 30% health. Or on the other hand, for just pure and consistent 12% damage, which I mostly prefer to use myself, then you want to use the malachite gem, because while performing this one-shot combo, your enemy will be consistently slowed, stunned or knocked down, and without having to do anything you will get very nice damage increase. And then lastly, for your gear, rings and everything else, get the Enix gems, and that's about it. And then on top of all this, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled "Which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build?" You can find the link in this video's description or scroll through my channel, and in that video I will specifically explain how perks work and which ones are the best for your specific gear / weapons and much more. So in a quick summary, if you are looking for the best and most annoying stunning build that players won't be able to escape you from, or just move in general, then this is the build for you, so have fun. So then, taking a closer look at the last and final build, which is the highest damage build in the entire game, and I like to call it as the ultimate sniper class. And for the weapons we want to go with the musket and void gauntlet, and then these are the attributes you want to have. So basically this build is structured around doing a lot of damage from very far distance, and you won't have almost any defensives whatsoever, but the single target damage that you will do will be very high. So first of all you want to get your dexterity to 300 and then start putting points in intelligence. And around level 60 you should have 300 dexterity and 150 intelligence. And as this is a full glass cannon build, you want to go with the light category, and the best gear setup is to have 1 medium chest piece and then the rest light armor. So then, taking a closer look at the first weapon, which is the musket, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the first ability called the power shot, and then get these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the powder burn, and then get these 2 perks as well. And lastly unlock the last third ability called the shooter stance, and then get the next perk to him as well. And now let's move over to the other side and unlock these 2 perks, and that's it. Now from this point and onwards you're free to choose in whichever order you want to spend your points. And then moving over to the second weapon, which is the void gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these 2 perks and then get the first ability called the oblivion, and then get these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the petrifying scream, and then get these 2 perks as well. And now let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the orb of decay, and then get these 3 perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever way you like. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So first of all we have the musket, and the first Q spell is called the power shot, which when activating overloads your musket with gunpowder, which causes the next shot to deal bunch of damage. and it's super good in removing someone's health to 60% just from one shot. Then the second ability is called the Powder Burn, and this ability again overloads your musket with gunpowder and deals damage, but additionally will make the target burn for 9 seconds. And lastly, our third ability is called the Shooter Stance, which when using your character enters a shooting stance and all shots fired deal additional damage, and the reloading time of the musket is reduced by 70%. So then let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Void Gauntlet. And for the first Q spell we have the ability called the Oblivion, which creates a circle around you, and you and your teammates inside the circle will be getting 20% damage increase. But on the other hand, your enemy standing in the circle will be taking void damage every second. Then the second ability is called the Petrifying Scream, which when using will deal damage, stagger and root enemies in front of you for 2 seconds. And lastly we have the third ability, which is called the Orb of Decay, and you can fire this orb which can go to your enemies, and each enemy that it hits it will deal decent damage and reduce their damage absorption, and then later that orb will come back and heal you or your nearby teammates. And as this is the second time that we are looking at the Void Gauntlet mechanics in this video, so I will skip all the in-depth part that we covered in the first build. So then moving over to the combat, and for this build I try to alternate between normal musket shots and abilities. So what you want to do is always stay very far away from the enemy, no matter if you're doing PvP or PvE. So as far as your playstyle goes, you mainly want to use the musket normal attacks and activate its abilities. If you see that you can easily hit the enemy, so then use the Power Shot or Powder Burn. Then for the Void Gauntlet, I prefer to use my Oblivion spell to get 20% more damage, but you can use it to support your teammates as well. Or if you're directly getting attacked and need to protect yourself, then use both of the Void Gauntlet abilities called the Petrifying Scream and Orb of Decay. And then for my actual one-shot combo, I get my Void Gauntlet and place the Oblivion spell, and then right away switch to the musket and shoot the enemy with my musket bullets. Or on the other hand, I usually prefer to use my musket and activate the Powder Burn ability, and then again do the same thing, just use musket light attacks. The abilities for this build are secondary in PvP. I don't recommend to use them for pure damage, so you just have to be a sniper and focus on hitting a headshot on player, and with the damage your build can do, you can easily one-shot even tanks, but especially any mage or other ranged DPS player. So remember to 99% of the time just use your musket normal shots, and when you get in trouble use the Void Gauntlet and its abilities, and that's about it. So now for my last and final conclusions for this build. This musket and Void Gauntlet weapon combination right now is the highest damage build in the game, and by using these weapons you basically become the sniper of the team, and you don't have any defensives, so your main goal is to always stay away from the enemy as far as you can, but then just aim and shoot and destroy all of your enemies. So then lastly for your musket you want to use the Diamond Gem, then for your Void Gauntlet get the Opal Gem, and then for all of your gear use the Enix Gems. And to increase even more damage for special events like wars, or if you're rich enough, then buy Honing Stones and Attribute Food, which for around 30 minutes will give you more attribute points and from 5 to 7% more damage on your weapon, depending on what tier Honing Stone and food you're using. And specifically I chose to go with the Diamond Gem for the musket because most of the time you'll be very far away from the enemy. So for you not to have to think about doing dodge rolls every second, just being full health and having the plus 15 damage increase is very nice thing to have. And then on top of all this, like I explained in the previous builds, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled "Which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build?" You can find the link in this video description or scroll through my channel, and you'll be able to specifically find all the information dedicated for the musket and Void Gauntlet perks and so much more. So in a quick summary, if you want to play a build that right now has the highest single target damage in the game, then this is the build for you, so don't forget to enjoy. And that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good one-shot builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I'll catch you in my next video. So take it easy. Peace.